Okay, what have you've seen from them? What I know they have 3 guards that done most of their scoring, but it was just the problems they present.
Yeah, I mean, they're a very similar style. You know, the first-year head coach, he was assistant coach at VCU last year, and before that, William & Mary, actually a friend of mine, and they've done a lot of things in watching them on film, very similar to what VCU tries to get accomplished, not only from their set plays, but from their style of play. You know, they're built on pressure defense, both in the full court and the half court. A large percentage of their points come from three-point field goals. They actually lead the country at 43% of their points come from three-point field goals. So, you know, they're a team that's going to play fast. They're going to shoot threes in transition. They're going to be in a diamond trap, you know, the majority of the game. So, you know, when you have that many guys who they're averaging 27 three-point field goal attempts per game, they're making 9 of them. You know, they also have an inside presence who's, you know, over the last 5 games, I believe he shoots 90% from the field. So they present a number of different challenges as far as us just making sure that we constantly aware where the three-point shooters are.
Where were you guys at, and kind of what's been the mood like, and how guys responded to the Butler loss?
Our players are resilient. I mean, I think that when they walked in the door, even last spring, they signed up for a marathon and not a sprint. You know, continuing on with the same process of making sure that we try to maximize each individual day. I mean, that's our goal. It's never been about trying to have perfection in you know, in December. It's about making sure that we maximize ourselves as a team, you know, each and every day. So the guys obviously are very disappointed. I mean, no one's, you know, the old saying, you can learn a lot from a defeat. I like to learn a lot from winning. And, you know, we've done that even throughout the course of the first 9 games of the season. I mean, we were never satisfied with what we were doing. We always realized there was a lot more to be accomplished. And coming back from the loss, obviously there was some frustration and some hurt, but you get back at it and you get focused and you start to attack you do some self-evaluation and you attack the things you think need to be attacked. And, you know, that's what they've been showing the last few days, is just some resiliency towards accomplishing those goals.
The rebounding drills, Coach, you talked about looking forward to them. And I know they're intense and they're focused, but is there an element, I don't know if fun's quite the word because I know it's not, but you have to have an enthusiasm for that? You really have to embrace that type of drill?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the strength of the team, is the competitive nature that they possess in general. And Coach, I think, does a tremendous job of making every drill. I don't even think we call them drills, but everything that we do has a purpose to it, and everything we do has an element of competition to it. And you know, that's the strength of the players that are in the program, is wanting to, that desire to compete. So the rebounding drills are fall along in that same line, that same mode where we really go after it. And you know, there's some technique things that we're constantly trying to improve, and that we will continue to improve until we get into a standard that we're looking for.
After getting a couple of days to look at the film and reflect on, what do you think that you learned about your team in that Butler game?
You know, what showed out in the Butler game was what, you know, as we as coaches and even through communication with the players, we knew who we were. I mean, we didn't execute in the way that we wanted to execute, but I don't think there was anything that we necessarily learned or that popped up in the game that we weren't prepared for. Just a matter of us making sure that we come in and execute the game plan, you know, each night out.
Is it a team now that's just itching to get back on the court, just get at Mount St. Mary's and Florida Atlantic, and they just that kind of group?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very resilient group. I mean, it's, you know, believe it or not, I mean, it sounds like coach speak when we talk about last play, next play, moving on to the next play. That fast forwards always to last game, next game. You know, despite the result of any of the games we played, it's always been about the next game, the next opponent. And, you know, in between those opponents, it's about the next practice, the next segment of practice. It's about making sure that we're trying to truthfully maximize ourselves as a team in all ways.
You mentioned at the top how close they are, how close Mount St. Mary's is to to VCU, I guess. How quick are they just sort of picking up what he wants to do? It's obviously their first year in that kind of system.
Yeah, they've done a tremendous job actually watching him on film. I mean, I know that they haven't always had the results that they're looking for. So as far as on the scoreboard, I think they had a good run. I think before this last game that they lost, they had a 3-game winning streak. And, you know, the way they're playing, how fast they cut, the screens they're setting for each other, the way they're looking for, each other on the court. I've been impressed with it. I thought that it would take a little bit longer for them to have that cohesiveness, but Coach Christian's done a great job with the guys and in molding them and shaping them. And I expect a lot of great things from them in the future. I think they only have one senior, maybe, on this year's team. So they've done a good job of putting things together and really establishing, his culture that he wants to establish there.
How many of those guys do you know, either from from Andover or just from coaching around there? I mean,
well, Rashad Wack played in the same conference. I actually coached in a high school conference at Paul VI High School, and Rashad Wack played for McNamara, and he was there. That's one of the leading players, I believe, an all-Met player in the Washington, D.C. area. Raven Barber, actually one of my recruits too, Paul VI. He was on their team. He plays a backup big for them. Then obviously pretty close with Jamie and Christian and Daryl Bruce, who's an assistant on the coaching staff. So pretty familiar with the guys and their philosophy. A lot of respect for them.
How far has Vic come going back to his days in high school? I remember him talking about not even, he's now started more games at IU than he started in high school. You saw him back then. You see him now day to day. How far has he come?
I guess I want to start with this. I think one thing that Vic has never really gotten a lot of credit for is how basketball intelligent he is, and his just overall desire to win. And I think that when I look back at him, knowing him in 9th grade, he's always been on teams that have had guys who could score the basketball. Maybe that was their best attribute, their ability to score the basketball. And he's trying to find his niche and find his way to be productive on that team. He never was the type of young man who wanted to go and try to outshoot the shooter or out-handle the ball handler on the team. He looked at it and said, all right, well, I'll do the dirty work. I'll be the one who goes and guards the other team's best player. I'll be the one who has to put up big rebounding numbers. There were times on his high school team early on, he played the 4. I think even through his senior year, he was even playing a lot of 4, a lot of 4 and occasionally some 3. In AAU, was the same way. Played the 4, occasionally some 3, and he was, kind of got into and kind of put into a box where they said, all right, well, he's not the greatest scorer, or he's not the greatest ball handler. Well, he's a great energy guy and defensive player, but what else can he really do? And I think that there's no doubt that being here and being in this program and working with the coaches and Coach Crean, he's been able to expand his offensive arsenal and become more comfortable in those, in those areas. But it was always something that was in him, that he possessed in him. I think that now he's got a platform, and this program is giving him a platform to be able to show his full offensive arsenal, and he's continuing to improve his jump shot and a number of different things. But I think that him displaying certain talents just goes to him taking advantage of certain opportunities. It takes me back to where I started with his basketball intelligence. He's going to be a team first guy always, so whatever the team asks him to do, that's what he's going to try to do. Whatever the coach deems his role to be, that's what he's going to try to do. And I think that he's aggressively attacking his weaknesses. He does a lot of great self-awareness as well. So he knows what he needs to improve upon, and I think that's when you love the game and then you have a program that allows you to continue to grow in the game and expand your own personal abilities and your own personal role, and that's kind of what you're seeing in this performance.
As long as you've known him, I guess, personally, has he always been like this? Has he always been this personable of a guy?
He's always had a great personality. I mean, I can't honestly say that he wasn't as outward with his personality in high school. And coming here and knowing him, there's been times I've looked at him like, he's kind of, he's pretty flamboyant, at times. But it's a part of him growing up and maturing and having self-expression, and he's probably a little bit tired in high school. I mean, Vic's story, he lived about an hour and 15 minutes or so or more from his high school, so he would he would wake up at 5:30 in the morning or earlier just to commute all the way to his high school, spend his entire school day, get his weight training and his skill work done at the Mount High School, his practice, and then maybe get home around 9 or 10 o'clock. Once the season ended, he started AAU, which would push it back to getting home at maybe 10:30, and then waking up again at 5:30 in the morning. So maybe he was a little too tired to express his flamboyancy in high school, but he's always been very consistent as far as his disposition, competitive nature, and everything he does. His confidence level has risen as he's had more tangible results, but he's been very consistent as a human being since I've known him.
Does he just bounce, now at this point, is he just like bouncing around and talking all the time? And does he ever shut up, or does he ever sit still, or is it like?
No, he's pretty consistent with his energy level, every day. I mean, I think that's one of the greatest marks of a man to me. Are you willing to be consistent in good times and bad times when you're tired, when you're full of energy? He is the person that he is. I mean, like anyone, he may go through a point in time where he's more focused and he's really locked in, but he's somebody that when you talk about his leadership as he grows, as he continues to develop into full-fledged man, his leadership is going to be one of his greatest attributes, because as a leader, I feel like when you put yourself out there, it's the hardest part of leadership is you're trying to correct and guide, and now when you do that, now everyone's looking back at you to see how you're going to react to each and everything that goes on, and will you be able to still stand up in front of that crowd and direct, even though you may have made an error at times. And I think that he's grown into that. He's starting to realize that, he can be outwardly expressive, he can be encouraging to his teammates, he can get on his teammates, and no matter what the circumstances, over the course, whether it be practice, whether it be in his personal life, whether it be in a game, he can still stand up strong and know that they'll know that he's there for them.
Derek Elson's obviously close to getting back. Where is he going to help you the most, and how's the dynamics of the team going to change when he gets back?
I think the things that Derek has done over the course of his career will be pretty consistent with what he does for us when he comes back. I mean, I think one of the things about Derek, he's never checked out of it mentally. So even though he hasn't been with us on the court physically, he's always been there. He's been great for Peter Honor. He's been great for, Jeremy. He's been great for the freshmen in particular, as far as making sure they understand what the culture is about, what it's like to work, what the plays, the system. He's been there. So his transition mentally won't be very long. I mean, he's starting to do more and more things in practice. Obviously, he will, he has a basketball awareness about him where, he'll help us rebound, he'll help us with the spacing on the floor, he'll help us knocking down shots on the perimeter, but it's just his voice, more importantly than anything else, on the court, have another player that everyone can trust, giving us valuable minutes.
Is there a chance for him to play this week?
We got this guy, Coach Crean, who makes plenty of personnel decisions, so I would say, yes, there's a chance.
Did you guys, when you guys went to the rebounding drills, did you go all the way to the war drills, do the football pads and the whole deal to get them ready?
Didn't need football pads, probably would have liked them. A couple guys probably would have appreciated some football pads, but no football pads this time. Yes, full-fledged rebounding drills, but honestly, nothing different than we've done since I've been here, since May. So, when we isolate and focus on rebounding, it's been pretty much the same thing. Guys, everything they do is demanded 100 miles an hour, so full speed.
Anything else for Kenny?
How much more can we expect to see Peter and Hunter play tomorrow than they have so far?
Very similar to the question about Derek. I would wait and see.
Wait and see.
Won't be long now.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
Thanks, bro.